Many in this forum here today know Rio Tinto, but I am going to summarise some of the key features of what we have done and what we've achieved. We are probably the private's largest employer of Indigenous people in our operations. 1,600, at least 1,600 Indigenous Australians today work for us across Australia. We also have hundreds of Indigenous contractors working for us as well. We have had a history of learning. We haven't always got it right, and I think the important thing is we actually acknowledge when we get things wrong and we can learn. We also have a history of leadership. It was 20 years ago that the Rio Tinto CEO, Leon Davis, was the first chief executive of a resources company to embrace the native title legislation. Following on from that, I'm proud to say that Rio Tinto has become a formal signatory of the Recognise campaign, supporting the national push for the constitutional change for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. From my own personal perspective, I'm only a fifth generation Australian, only but a drop in the ocean. It just makes sense to me that we get behind that change and the change to constitution. The relationship we have with our Indigenous communities is part of our business model. It is fundamental, it is part of our licence, but is also just the right thing to do. It also allows us to differentiate ourselves from our competition. I am no expert in how we get things right, and I'm here these few days to learn and listen, and there's been some insightful talkers today, and even the Chief Minister with his vision to involve and embrace Indigenous employment in his province, his state, his territory, soon to be a state, we hope. But let me just give you a few thoughts on how Rio Tinto has gone about its business with supporting Indigenous businesses in our operations and near operations. It is not just about royalties. It is not just about employment. It is about partnerships. It is also about relationships with suppliers. And these are very complex. They are not the common cookie-cutter model from one place to another. They are very complex issues. We need to have very tailored solutions for each, and it's a very mature model that we have developed over time. We have, across Australia, 70 business partnerships with Indigenous companies. It's a large number that we have worked very hard to get in, and it's a journey. It's a journey we're going to continue to actually work hard at to foster going forward. We have here locally with the Gumatj and the Rirratingo many business relationships ranging from services to fuel contracts. So it's a full spectrum of services here that we have with the two key clans for us. It's also very important that we listen. We listen to the aspiration of our local traditional owners. They have been here years and years before us, and we need to learn their own vision and understand that very carefully. We have some commercial acumen we can share, and we've done that. And I was very proud to be standing just over here at the Garma site, announcing a mine training centre accommodation facility. And that was part of a commitment that we made here last year to contribute $2.4 million to a mine training facility for the Gumatj to actually build their capability, not to become necessarily only miners, but all of those extra skills that you need to have to actually run a business. In this area, there's a lease, the Dupna Plateau, which is a bauxite lease that we have assigned across to the Gumatj. That training centre is there as a key enabler for them to build some capability and capacity to actually explore and then study and then open up that lease. It's going to have to be commercial. It's also going to have to be viable for the long term, and we're going to work very closely with the Gumatj to make sure that happens. So it's not just about money. It is also about the way that we develop our people within the company. Our people have dedicated specialists that actually know, the technical aspects you need to support Indigenous communities to grow their businesses. One very good example here in East Arnhem is we've created, with partnership with the Northern Territory Government, a company called the Developing East Arnhem Land Limited. It's run by a professional executive, and it's also run by a professional independent board. It is independent from the government, independent from us as a corporation. It has been given some seed funding from Rio Tinto and the government, and also it's been given an allocation of houses in the town of Nhulunbuy to help stimulate new business to come to the region. And that's just to support the growing diversity of the economy here for this part of East Arnhem Land. It's a very, I believe, a very innovative approach. and also hopefully is going to be a very successful approach that in a year's time we can talk about the opportunities that they've been able to attract to this region that are not just mining. We also take a very strict approach with our employees. It is very important that they also understand the cultural aspects of the traditional owners and the clans where they work. Across Australia, we have trained 28,000 employees now in cultural awareness training. The Cultural Training Centre here, which we also part-funded, is where we are trained, and we are privileged to have the traditional owners here come along and train us. It helps us get a deeper understanding of what is important to operating in the country of our traditional owners. We have many cultural heritage sites on our operations, including on Cape York. It is fundamentally important that we understand the significance of those so we can actually protect them and work with those sites on our operations and preserve them for the future. It is a long-term challenge for us. It's a journey. We have not finished that journey. My next challenge and aspiration is on Cape York, where we have been operating there for 50 years now with a bauxite mine similar to the bauxite we have here. We're looking to get some support from our board later this year to do a major expansion to the southern end of that ore body, and it's down near the Arracoon community. It's a community that has not enjoyed the benefits of napronum up near our own operations, or Marpoon. We are, if we can get that funding, we've got some very innovative processes in place already to ensure that our contractors, subcontractors and their subcontractors give preference and priority to Indigenous businesses. There are no free kicks. Those businesses must actually win the right and earn the right. We have very high safety expectations, and so that is a key criteria to ensure that they meet our safety standards. The last thing we want is anyone on our sites to be injured or harmed. And also it must be commercial. If it's not commercial, then it's not sustainable. So there's no free kicks, but we're giving them every advantage to hear the opportunities that are coming forward so they can actually position themselves, whether it's with partnership with other companies or on their own, so they can win small parts of the work that we have in that expansion plan. So with that, I've given you a few tangible examples of how we go about our business. And as I said, it's a journey, and we don't always get it right, but it's important that we learn, listen, and learn from those mistakes going forward. So with that, I'll hand over to Klaus, one of our key partners up here.